Remember the CHR? It was a small Toyota coupe sporty crossover thing. CHR actually stands for Coupe High Rider, by the way. And we had it in the US from 2018 until 2022, when it was canceled because Americans seem to just want big SUVs. Well, Toyota is trying again, and I'm here to root for them. Not everyone wants a massive SUV. So we have right here the new CHR, Toyota's second attempt at a small, now electric, crossover for the city. So what were the issues with the old one? We should probably take those into account to see if they've fixed it. Well, it was too small, actually very cramped, especially for the American market. It was not all-wheel drive at all, only front-wheel drive, and it was underpowered. And probably other issues. It was kind of a problem child in the lineup. So the old CHR was actually originally intended to be a Scion. Remember that brand? It was excessively sporty looking, but not actually that sporty. It was overstyled to the point where people thought they probably should have pulled it back. And I'm glad to see this one seems a bit more neutral. Still sporty looking, still a coupe, but it actually has a lot better just overall proportions and designs, and I love the styling. It has Toyota's hammerhead approach to the lighting signature, which I think works on this car very well. You've seen it with the Prius, of course. That was the one that really was the halo car for that design element. You have a large portion right here that's just body color, AKA kind of a magnet for rock chips. I'd probably get that PPF'd. Around the side, you have either 18 or 20-inch wheels. Right behind the wheels, charging port. North American charging standard, AKA the Tesla plug. That's gonna come in handy if you go to Tesla superchargers to charge the thing, and it is actually in a good placement to where you can just pull right in and it'll plug right in. In a broader side view, you can easily tell it is a coupe with that sloped back roof. And that's what the C stands for in CHR. Once again, coupe and then high rider. I think a real big proper SUV should have a box shape, whereas a smaller SUV that's meant to be driven around the city, the slope back totally works, makes it more efficient, and I think makes it look a bit more sporty. This is the Tandoori orange, which is kind of the halo color for the car, if you will. And then the different contrasting roof color being black. You also have this black plastic cladding at the bottom, which is similar to the old CHR. And especially with the two-tone black roof, it makes the whole vehicle look even narrower, kind of an optical illusion effect. Something else they brought back, the rear door handle being up here. That's a bit controversial. On one hand, it kind of makes it look like a almost two-door coupe sports car. On the other hand, this could be out of reach for some of the very kids that would appreciate the back seat. Or is it high enough to prevent kids that are too small to open the door themselves safely, preventing safety hazards? I don't know, something to debate in the comments. Then we have the overall size. Every single dimension is a little bit bigger than the old CHR, but the length and the wheelbase being about 4 inches longer is especially notable. That gives you a bit more space inside the cabin and even storage capacity. Around back, we have much less aggressive styling than the outgoing CHR, which I appreciate. A little bit of a dual split spoiler situation there, a little bit of a lip spoiler here. It's all pretty subtle. Otherwise, we have some badging. Hopefully you love acronyms because we have 4 acronyms on the back here: CHR, BEV, AWD, and XSE. You can kind of make up whatever you want for some of those. Inside the hatch, you'll actually see the storage capacity. The previous CHR had almost criminally too little storage space. This one now has about 25 cubic feet, which I think is very usable, and a little bit under the floor for perhaps your charging cable. It could have been more if they didn't have such an aggressive roof line cut like that, but I'll take it. Still an improvement over the previous one. And if you put the seats down, which lie flat by the way, you'll get an entire 59.5 cubic feet, which is really pretty impressive. So as I mentioned, a huge pain point to the CHR before was passenger room in the back. It was almost comically bad, really just for kids. Now, I'm an adult, in case you didn't know, and I actually fit totally fine. The seats do recline, which I should adjust here because if I have it all the way back, me as someone who's 6 foot tall will hit my head on the ceiling. So Taller people may not want to recline it, but I'm sitting currently behind my seating position and I have just enough room. This is kind of a 6-foot max car, at least if you have driver and the person behind them in consideration. A couple USB ports back here, heated rear seats if you get the premium XSE trim, and vents, which are a welcome addition in a car so small. Some cars, you know, back in the day that were small didn't have rear vents because who cares about the rear passenger, I guess? Yeah, it's not a good look. Let's check out the front. Oh, yeah, definitely this is the place to sit. And if you bought the car, maybe you're sitting here. There is a panoramic glass roof on this one, and I think the rear occupants will appreciate the openness feeling, otherwise they'll feel like they're in a cave. The steering position on the Toyota EVs and Subaru EVs, because they're kind of the same, is a bit strange. You have to look over the steering wheel to see the gauges. Now, that is done to help alleviate the eye strain from having a gauge perhaps a bit closer to you. You're already looking out onto the road, so if you're looking that far out to see your information, that's in theory a bit better. I'm not the biggest fan, personally, having to look over the steering wheel, because by the time I get the steering wheel to where I want it, it's actually blocking the gauge. You kind of have to pick your battle depending on your torso height. The steering wheel itself has lots of controls, which are nice once you memorize where they are, but it is an overwhelming amount of buttons if you're initially stepping in. And I don't really love the design of the steering wheel, but it actually feels very nice. Up on the dash, we have a really interesting texture. It actually looks cool and feels interesting, which is hard to do, and I like that. It definitely makes it feel and look a little less cheap. And you have the JBL audio system in this one, which also makes you feel like it's a little less cheap. It's only a $600 option. Honestly, I would get it. Once you're in the interior, almost regardless of which seat, the first thing your eyes will look at is probably this big 14-inch screen. It contains all of the controls for better or worse, and I think I would prefer some actual physical climate controls. Curious what you guys think, but they've decided to put them all on the screen. At least they pretty much sit at the bottom for the most part. The software is okay. It's definitely had some improvements over the years, and it will continue to get improvements through over-the-year updates. And it has basic navigation, but it's not the most intuitive, and it is a little slow to react, which is a bit concerning to me as a brand new car. Of course, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wirelessly are standard. That's fantastic. That's probably what everyone should use and probably what everyone will use. However, if you're trying to, say, take this electric vehicle on a road trip, Toyota doesn't currently have any route planning, which I think is a huge issue. Hopefully that comes to this system by the time this car actually comes to you guys. But at the moment, it currently doesn't have the ability to tell you where to stop and charge if you were to, say, put somewhere in the nav that's 500 miles away. Yikes. Down below the screen, 2 wireless Qi chargers. That's pretty cool to have as a feature. However, they have no rubber consistency, so your phone will probably slide around depending on which case you have. And so your experience may vary on usability for these wireless chargers. But it's an easy place to throw your phone, and if you don't take turns too aggressively, it won't fly out. Beyond that, you have the shifter, which is a push down, move to the right or left, depending on where you're going, forward or backwards, and a few buttons for cameras, eco mode, snow, etc. Like I said, the old CHR was not all-wheel drive, this one is, so you could actually take this in the snow. I have no snow around me, but I say we take this out on a drive and see how it fares in the open road. So driving the CHR, was the driving itself fixed? The old one was fine. I mean, it was small, and anything small is inherently a bit sporty. So although this CHR is a bit bigger than the old one, it's still easily small enough to be a magnificent handling little machine. It's easy to truck it into a corner, probably with more speed than the average person would do. The steering is maybe a little bit numb, but having a slightly smaller steering wheel than I would have expected, I think helps it feel just a bit more nimble. The previous one, like I said, underpowered. This one, very properly powered. Being all-wheel drive obviously helps with traction in any inclement weather, but also helps you put the power down. That power being 338 total horsepower. And under full throttle, you can feel a little bit of torque steer, and I'd say that's more than enough power. 4.9 seconds to 60. If you're doing that any quicker, your kids may be upset at you. No one really needs faster. On the other hand, Toyota is claiming this is their sporty EV, yet the much bigger BZ Woodland actually gets to 60 even faster. So I think I've seen some confusion there, but that just leaves room on the table for maybe a future, more powerful version of this. Maybe a CHR GR. Charger? That doesn't quite work. That's been done. Being a shared platform with Subaru benefits Toyota in the fact that this is really kind of a Subaru-derived all-wheel drive system. And that means I can take this into really most inclement weather, especially with snow tires, and feel completely calm about it. One thing that's probably helping the handling just a bit is having the 20-inch wheels, which inherently give you a little less tire sidewall. That allows for more precise input, and I can actually feel a bit more of the road through that. If you opt for the 18-inch wheels, you'll have a bit more sidewall and a bit more comfort, and that's personally the route I would take. This is a city car. This is meant to drive around any city, any road conditions, and I think the 18s would be more comfortable, actually more efficient, so a bit more range, and you won't have to worry about every pothole possibly taking out your tire. So let's talk charging and range. This has a 74.7 kilowatt hour battery that Toyota is using in all of their current EVs, and it is more than adequate for this size of car. It's actually pretty competitive in its segment if you're looking at, say, the Niro EV or the Hyundai Kona EV. But that battery size, unfortunately, only gets you a hair under 300 miles of range, not even 300 miles. And that, of course, depends on the wheel and tire size you selected. Once again, a reason to maybe go for the 18s. Charging speed is decent. You'll get roughly 10 to 80% in 30 minutes at a high-powered charger, which is, I guess, in line with the rest of the competition. However, that 30 minutes of charging doesn't really give you that much range when you look at the total range. And with a peak charging speed of 150 kilowatts, that's pretty far from class leading. But I think most people will enjoy the average daily driving, meaning you charge at home, which this charges at 11 kilowatts, which is great, and you just charge it overnight, wake up every morning with a full tank, or battery in this case. But if Toyota could add route planning to the navigation, I could even see taking this on a road trip. It really does ride quite well. The suspension is nicely tuned, and I would just throw on the 18-inch wheels, call it a day. You may not see the most range, and maybe not the best charging, but as a city car, maybe even occasional small trips, I would be totally happy driving this. This is something I might even look for if I was flying into a new city and looking at the rental fleet. And that's high praise. I just wish I could see over the steering wheel at the gauge cluster. Wanted to end this with a bit of a segment in the city, because that's where I think this car really feels at home. But you one-pedal drive enthusiasts out there will be disappointed to find out this doesn't have it. There are 5 levels of regen, adjustable through paddles on the steering wheel, which is nice, but I would have loved to see a one-pedal driving at least as an option. But otherwise, the CHR is honestly a relatively affordable, in the landscape of EVs anyways, city car. And I think anyone wanting to find a good daily driver for the city will be pretty happy with this. Pricing just around $40,000, maybe a hair under starting, a hair over as equipped. That's not bad. You're missing a couple creature comforts that someone might like ventilated seats, for example. I'm really hot out here in Southern California right now, and I can't turn those on because it doesn't have them. So let us know what you thought of the Toyota CHR. Is it back and better than ever? I definitely think so. And whether you're looking for this, or maybe the Subaru Uncharted, its sister car, or a whole other slew of EVs now on the market, you can of course head over to kbv.com and see a fair purchase price and a whole host of reviews. Until next time, bye from Ojai. That's confusing.